What's up, everybody? Got a busy guy and all-around drum slayer and Mike Miczek of the Atlas Moth, Powermad, and Broken Hope. But we get into all sorts of goodness, including rants about Nicko McBrain, Keith Moon, Motley Crue, Ozzy, Ginger Baker, the Beatles, Neil Diamond, and, playing gigs with your monstrous kid in your mom's car, of course. And as I mentioned, Powermad, that would, of course, be the OG band Powermad from the 80s. Absolute Power was the record that I first heard. And whose song I originally heard, as did most people, I believe, in David Lynch's movie Wild at Heart. Anyone else remember that shit? What a crazy damn movie and a super cool soundtrack. So it was a trip talking to Mike about a movie and a record that I was into growing up and is actually older than Mike himself. And how ridiculous, by the way, was that scene with Willem Dafoe? Is it really Willem? Putting that pantyhose over his head during that bank scene, and you get the close-up of his fucked up teeth. Laura Dern with her giant hair and Nicolas Cage with his snakeskin jacket. Good Lord. Anyways, it was definitely fun catching up with Mike. Great player, involved in lots of bands, varying bands at that. But we get into a whole lot more. Shout out to my sponsor, New Orleans Record Press. If you're looking at putting out vinyl for your project, check out NewOrleansRecordPress.com. They're the first state-of-the-art record pressing facility in New Orleans. They'll press 12 and 7-inch records in both standard weight, 150 gram, and heavyweight, 180 gram variants. Plus feature colored vinyl options, center label printing, blank and printed packaging styles, deluxe audio mastering, precision lacquer cutting, and electroplating. You probably don't even know what the fuck those last couple things are, right? They'll even offer professional graphic design and project consulting services if you need them. Don't see what you want on their site? Need more options? Contact them for special projects. They also do projects of all sizes, from runs as low as 100 units up to commercial pressings into the thousands. So check it out and tell them Crash Bang Boom sent you, all right? And that's NewOrleansRecordPress.com. All right, y'all. Check it out. Mike Miczek, the Atlas Moth, Powermad, Broken Hope, Crash Bang Boom.
Crowds go mad with joy.
Mike Miczek of the Atlas Moth. What's happening, dude?
Oh, not a whole lot, man. Just hitting on the road, playing drums, doing things. It's the third show of the tour. Thank you for having me, yo.
Of course. I'm glad to have you, man. By the way, impressive last name. I always go through this as in having the last name of Smith, quite possibly next to Johnson, the most generic name one could have in the United States. Your name is an interesting one. I've never seen it or heard it before, and it almost sounds like meat. Check, like Meatcheck, which is crazy.
There you go. They actually, the guys in Moth call me Meat Sack. I think that's my official name.
Meat Sack.
So, definitely derivative.
That's if you have like bloated balls, basically.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, I was thinking more like pigs hanging from.
A meat sack. Oh my God.
I'll go for some bloated balls.
Wow, that's crazy, Bill. Well, Atlas Moth obviously on a pretty good little run here. What is this, about a month and a half?
Yeah,
all in
yeah.
all?
So we started out a couple days ago in Philadelphia, and we're doing a week and a half with Zayao.
Okay.
And we have 2 days off, and then we do another 3 weeks with Paradise Lost.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
So supremely stoked. Really, it's going to be an honor. It's been an honor sharing the stage with Zayao every night. It's going to be super honor to share the stage with Paradise Lost.
Right on.
Absolutely.
How has the tour been going thus far? It's been a good one?
Oh, it's been awesome.
Nice.
Everybody's really chill. The crowds have been awesome every night. I mean, we, for most of this past year, we've been headlining, so it's nice to go out and be with some support bands, have a really strong package.
Fuck yeah.
And just tear faces.
Hashtag strong package. That's what you want. Well, I know you play in a few bands, and we'll definitely get into that. But you're originally from Chicago, or like the Chicago area?
Mm-hmm. Born in Chicago, raised in the northern suburbs, up in a little farmland area just south of Wisconsin.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. You don't have, like, when you say Wisconsin, I immediately think of that nasally Canadian, like, Wisconsin/Minnesota.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, right? But you don't. Do your parents have that accent?
No, they were born bred Chicagoans. So I got
Gotcha.
a little mixture of a Chicago accent with a little bit of you get get to that as a northern Indiana, southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois. I pretty much all consider the same place.
Right.
So there's a little bit of twang that goes with that.
Yeah.
So you get a little bit of mixture of Chicago with some, hillbilly going on.
Right.
So I just sound confused most of the time.
That's fair enough. That's amazing, man. Well, one of the other bands that I'm realizing you played in, and it's an interesting conversation because I was thinking about it. So you also play in Powermad?
Mm-hmm, yes.
That is crazy. So I think their first record that came out might have been the first CD I ever purchased.
Really?
Which was, I think, in 1989.
Mm-hmm. Was it Absolute Power?
Yes, it was
Yeah.
Absolute Power, which I think by most people who became aware of that band and that record was via the David Lynch movie
Yeah.
Wild at Heart.
Absolutely.
Because it featured that song in it. And then when I heard it, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is awesome.
Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just super into it, and it was just funny because my dad had a CD player. He was the first of his friends to get a CD player, and I was like, I need to get a CD, and it was either that or there was this band actually from New York, 24/7 Spies, their first record that they put out.
All right.
I think it was Harder Than You was the name of it, and so it was either that or Powermad. But for the longest time, I had cassettes and some records, and I had 2 CDs, and it was one of those 2 that was the actual first CD that I ever got.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so when my dad would give me time to listen to it on his super nice system that he had set up, I would rock out to that record. So it's actually a strangely nostalgic record for me.
That's fantastic, dude. That record shreds.
It does.
Those guys are so underrated.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, that late 80s, early 90s, I mean, there was so much killer thrash stuff going on.
Oh, God,
like,
yeah.
I'm down like from Southeast Louisiana, New Orleans area, and there's like Exhorder from
Oh,
there, and
yeah.
they've rebooted their band.
They have.
And I interviewed Sasha, the drummer, who's now playing with them, and man, they're killer. If you haven't seen that band,
dude. We,
check them out.
Broken Hope shared the stage with them at this year's Brutal Assault out in the Czech Republic, and they tore the place apart.
They're
Yeah, it
badass,
was
right?
So good. It was so good. Oh my God.
That's another super nostalgic band because I remember just growing up hearing that stuff, and it was like the local heroes, you know?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. But speaking of I guess like early first CDs or albums or cassettes or whatever format, 8 tracks. I don't know. I'm probably older than you if I had to guess.
So.
I'm born in '76, so. Do you remember like your first record or CD or tape or 8 track?
Man, I would have to say it was definitely CD.
Okay.
Early 90s here.
Okay.
And I'm sure a lot of hardcore metalheads are going to be shocked by this, but it was the Beatles.
Oh, I'm not shocked by that once whatsoever.
Definitely the Beatles. I think it was either the White Album or Sgt. Pepper.
Oh, either one or yeah.
It just blew me the fuck away.
That is amazing. If it was the White Album, because still to this day I listen to parts of that record, and I'm like, my God, what a fucking band.
Oh yeah.
Like, the production is, of course, great, but I mean, and it's interesting with them as well, because at that point, right, they weren't playing live. So they were they were a studio band, and they could do whatever, but it's still their voices. It's still, it's still magical hearing that shit.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, Helter Skelter, think about that.
It's probably the heaviest thing that was recorded up to that time.
Up to that time, it was the heaviest.
That's like a proper proto-metal, like, psych rock track.
Full on, right? And Paul McCartney, and I love it because to this day, live, when he does his solo runs, he still plays that song.
He does. Exactly. That's become a cult favorite, man.
Absolutely.
I love that. I'll take that over Blackbird any day.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Well, by contrast, I think technically the first record that I ever got was Neil Diamond, the jazz singer. And so I remember like dancing with my dad and my stepmom at the time, like listening to We're Coming to America, the immigrant song. Not that any of us were actual immigrants, but but shortly thereafter, and that was probably 83, I think, when both of the records came out, I got like Ozzy's Bark at the Moon and
Nice.
Motley Crue's Shout at the Devil simultaneously.
Great
So I had
records.
both of those, and I just listened to them on a constant cycle for months and months and years. Probably.
That is some classic heavy metal there. That will properly warp your mind.
It was, at that point, it was... Yeah, it seems so dangerous, and it's like it's hilarious now, of course, because you see like the inlay when you open that up for Shout at the Devil, and first of all, like Shout at the Devil, clearly not a satanic band.
Oh yeah,
and of course you look at them and they look like drag queens.
Oh yeah,
with fire
with
behind
pentagrams.
them. Yeah, totally, so satanic, But yeah, that was kind of my early kind of gateway into kind of dark, quote unquote, rock and roll type shit.
Oh hell yeah.
What is your gateway into the heavier music?
It's a toss-up between Maiden and Sabbath. When I was in elementary school, I came across both of them at the same time, and I think I got Masters of Reality, and then I got like an Iron Maiden Best of. I think it was Edward the Great.
Oh, wow.
And both of those simultaneously that a friend got for me, and both of those just changed my life.
I got Iron Maiden's Power Slave the year it came out, and I still have that record. I still have
That's
it.
like their best record.
Man.
Oh, man, I was just jamming that before we left for tour, man.
Dude, it's so good,
So
right?
good.
Nicko McBrain's playing is
Amazing.
Awesome.
Amazing. Jazz drummer turned metal drummer.
Totally.
Awesome.
Right?
It's so avant-garde the way he approached all of that. And I would sit there for hours in the basement trying to mimic his right hand as he follows the guitar parts.
He had a
and it's just like-
fast-ass right foot, too.
He did.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Played
believe
it.
in double bass. It's
Right.
awesome.
A lot of triplet, like super quick right foot stuff.
Oh,
Great,
yeah.
like cool patterns. A great groove.
Oh, God,
And
yeah.
of course, you're playing with Steve Harris, one of the greatest rock and roll bass players of all time.
Damn straight.
Who, to my understanding, writes all that music.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And possibly the lyrics?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Have you seen Iron Maiden recently by any
And
chance?
last time I did was Matter of Life and Death tour. Must have been 10 or 12 years ago.
Okay, I've seen them twice within the last 10 years. Once was like in the last year, and it's pretty good. I wasn't crazy about the set list. They were still amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But the time I saw them prior to that, they predominantly played Power Slave.
Oh, is that when
they
they were
played
doing, like,
Rime
the-
of the Ancient Mariner even?
Man, the whole
It
damn
was
thing.
fucking badass. They
That's
played Power
awesome.
Slave. They opened up with Aces High.
That would send chills down my spine thinking about that right now. Start with the whole Winston Churchill speech. Everything goes
Fuck
dim.
yeah,
and then
the whole
boom,
thing.
Kick right into
Lights
it.
drop and then they roll into it.
Oh, that's so awesome.
It was badass, man. And Nicko McBrain's, I don't know, have you like from his perspective, the kit that he plays?
Yeah.
He has a ride like sitting on a tom, basically. 'cause
seriously.
and he's got toms over his hi hat.
Yeah.
Like his whole setup is weird as fuck, man.
It's amazing. That's classic 80s, just like big, huge, everything's angled, like
Super
almost
angled.
90 degrees.
Right.
And everything's right within reach.
Right. And I don't think there's even so much as a floor tom. There are mounted floor toms, but I don't think there's one that's actually on the floor.
Oh, wow.
I think his entire kit is mounted.
I believe it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So anyway, there you go. When are you gonna get like the full mounted kit and play like a 90-piece kit, bro?
Oh God, I used to do that when I was in high school. I
Really?
I bought a Pearl export kit from a friend of mine's father, and it was a proper 8-piece kit.
Wow.
2 kick drums, like 5 rack toms,
Holy
a floor
shit.
tom, a snare that was like a foot and a half deep.
Wow.
So
Was that your first kit?
no, first kit was an old school mid '60s Ludwig Pink Champagne Sparkle.
Oh, that's a beautiful kit.
Yeah, dude, an
You
old
don't,
neighbor.
clearly you
of
don't have
mine-
it anymore, huh?
No, I still have it.
Do you
that's
really?
Not, that's not going
You still
anywhere.
have your first drum set?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah, man, I'm not getting rid of that thing to save my life.
That is killer. Do you know what year it is?
There's most of it dates to like 1964, and then there's
Whoa.
a tom that dates back to like 1969, 1970. It's when they changed the badges over from the keys to the like blue and
olive.
green one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a
That
nice
is-
mix.
Whoa, dude, I'm jealous. That is awesome. That is totally awesome. So getting back to your Alex Van Halen kit.
Yes.
how the fuck were you lugging that bad boy around?
My parents' car.
Oh, there you go. Did they have like a station wagon or a truck or a
Big old
SUV?
Jeep.
Really? You had
Yeah,
a Jeep.
driving around in the
and
Jeep
you could
Grand
pile
Cherokee.
all that shit in there.
Yeah, man.
That's badass.
So after toting that around through all of high school, it's like, you know what? This is cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break my back by the time I'm 22.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
way too much shit. So scaled it back.
Yeah.
You know, you go through that phase where it's like all the drums.
Yeah, yeah. My first kit was kind of the same. I mean, not quite as excessive, but definitely way more drums than I play now. It's just the older you get, it's not as if the trajectory is you start taking out more things.
Right,
It
right.
seems to be people simplify their setup as they get older for obvious reasons.
Oh, exactly.
You know?
I mean, as cool as it looks to have 2 kick drums on stage,
Sure.
I don't miss carrying that shit around.
Wow, man. At the time when you got your double bass kit, were there any particular drummers that you were super influenced by?
Oh, man. By that time, definitely had gotten into Slayer. So it was, let's
so
try to
Dave
do
Lombardo.
all the Lombardo fills.
Right.
By that time, I was starting to get into some more heavier shit. So I think I got a copy of Sepultura's Arise and Morbid Angel's
That came out in
Altar of
91.
Madness at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So it was Igor and it was Pete Sandoval.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to be like, how does he do that thing where it's fast and it sounds like a helicopter landing? Oh, that's a blast beat. Oh, shit. How do I learn how to do that? I'm
is
going to do that now.
That's badass, man. I remember when Sepultura's Arise came out, and at the time, that was a super heavy experience.
Oh God, yeah.
You know, I had that cassette tape, and I would just auto-reverse it on my Walkman, once again, aging myself. But and to this day, like, that opening track, Arise,
Dude,
is
it's such a killer.
so badass.
I wore my copy out on that CD so much that the paint flaked out of it, and you can't play it anymore.
Nice.
It just destroyed it.
You could hear the Slayer influence from the solos to the, like...
Oh, definitely.
Clearly. But there was something extra. Maybe it's that Brazilian thing.
There's a tribal thing going on. Even back in Beneath the Remains, you can hear it start to slowly creeping out with some of the really sick breakdowns they're doing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm a total fan of that stuff, man. Once you started getting into the Lombardo stuff, did you felt like that clearly you started emulating some of that? Do you feel like
absolutely.
There's still something in your playing to this day that reverts back to those formative years of you being influenced by him?
Oh, definitely. I would say definitely in some of the drum fills that I do. I love his spastic, almost free-form type of drum fill style that he would do. I mean, it's slightly borderlines jazz, and I think he's tried to prove numerous times with some of his projects over the years that it's like, look, I'm more than just a metal drummer.
For sure.
I'm a fucking musician.
And I was surprised to see that. Like in some of the Panama stuff and
dude, it's amazing.
Different things, you realize, he's actually this really diverse player who is an extreme guy, but he really has like this diverse skill set, which is kind of rare.
Oh, and it's so cool to see that happen too.
100%.
And see, it was like, dude's totally out of his element, but he's crushing it.
Right.
And that's cool. I mean, that's a musician.
Right, exactly. Well, you play, obviously, like I was saying earlier, in a few bands. What are the challenges, I guess, between Powermad, Broken Hope, and Atlas Moth? What are the sort of individual, physical, mental, whatever preparation challenges that you've experienced at different times within those three different bands?
So we'll start with Broken Hope for me especially. That was the first professional band I was in, and I think it was the stamina. Is definitely where that came in. I mean, playing death metal, doing blast beats, fast double bass up every night, learning how to warm up properly, learning how to take care of yourself.
It's gotta be crucial. Hydrate.
It's so crucial.
You have to
my
drink
God.
a shit ton of water before you.
All the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
Yeah,
and that's definitely been the most brutal. Is just physically, it's the physicality of it for sure.
Yeah,
and I will never play anything heavier than that because Broken Hope's got that good combination of like blast beats and groove to it.
Right.
And it's just, there's a shit ton of bands that I love that blast beat all the time, but it's just something I would never be able to play myself.
Right.
I love sitting in the pocket too much.
I mean, as you should.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, all respect to the athleticism of drummers who play the most upward BPMs.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it's kind of all about that.
Mm-hmm.
But for me personally, I don't find it as enjoyable from a listening standpoint as I would if there were moments where you could at least let me like nod my head every now and again.
Right, like breathe a little bit.
Yeah,
you know?
just let it breathe. Otherwise, it just kind of sounds like a sewing machine.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You know, it's like super. It's like zzz, it's that, or like a mosquito buzzing in your ear.
Oh, exactly.
And I don't particularly love mosquitoes or sewing machines. So
exactly. I mean, Jeremy, the founding guitarist and the guy that's still been taking Broken Hope for the past 30 years at this point.
30 years?
30 years. They started in '88.
How long have you been playing with them?
Since 2012.
Really?
And I will drop this fun anecdote because Jeremy likes to do it all the time.
Okay.
Broken Hope's first record, Swamped and Gore, came out in 1991.
Wow.
I believe it was August. I was born 3 months later.
Holy shit.
So Broken Hope's first record is older than I am.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
So were you born in November?
Yeah, November 91.
Does that make you a Scorpio?
Damn straight.
There you go. I'm a general fan of Scorpios.
Oh, there you go. Are you one yourself?
No, I'm a Cancer.
Oh, okay.
But
My fiance's a Cancer.
We're compatible. Who's a Cancer?
My fiance's a Cancer.
There you go. There it is. There it is.
So
man.
there it is. I
Yeah.
feel ya.
I'm born July 4th, 1976, though, so I'm the bicentennial July 4th, so I'm as American as it fucking
God
gets.
damn, were you born with an American flag?
I have a plaque. I definitely have a plaque on the day that I was born.
Oh,
that
that's
is like
fantastic.
the most American baby. It doesn't say
right.
that, but it should.
It should.
It just should. Yeah. And not to like wave the flag and be like, the most nationalist, patriotic guy on the face of the planet, but it's just kind of funny to me at this point.
Totally.
Plus, there is the double irony of the commemorative bicentennial quarter on the tail side as a snare drummer on it.
Oh, no shit. Oh, that's right.
So as a
so you got
drummer,
that
I've
going.
always thought that's especially strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like fortune telling.
I know, right?
That's badass.
I know, some strange prophetic thing going on there. So you talked about Broken Hope, the challenges with that. What would the challenges of the Atlas Moth be? And also, if you could, I know it's always kind of hard to classify like what the genre is that in which you play. But like for instance, with Broken Hope, I feel like that's probably more death metal.
Oh, it's death
you
metal.
kind of just say that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But with Atlas Moth, I feel like I can kind of point to particular bands that might be sort of a kindred spirit, maybe
Right.
like the darkness of the Deftones mixed with like some hardcore and some metal stuff.
I mean, you're fucking nailing it right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
so that's-
Deftones for sure with these guys. That
Right.
is for sure. I mean, take a lot of that late '90s, early 2000s hardcore,
Right.
Mix it with I Hate God. Mix it with a little bit of Pink Floyd, with some
There
of
you
the
go.
kind of like spacey,
So the
open,
ethereal
trippy shit
I
we do.
God and the sludgy I God shit.
Yeah,
There you go. That
exactly.
makes sense.
So it's really, I mean, I think people categorize us much as sludge. I don't know if I would say sludge, but it's just convenient because, you know, we're playing orange amps and we have downtune and we have some heavy riffs from time to time. But
Yeah,
it's
no,
definitely
y'all
a
are
bit
too
more
progressive, quote unquote,
Exactly.
for quote unquote sludge, in my opinion.
I mean, I think post-metal is generally what we get lumped into the most these days.
Which is super broad anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
So
like-
it's like, you know, you get compared to Cave-In or, you know, Failure, which are all huge influences on us.
there you go.
And there's a
Okay.
lot of that. With some of those twinkly riffs and all
Right.
that, you can, you know, Fantastic Planet has been a huge influence on all of us. So a lot of that definitely shines through from time to time amongst the heavier things.
So was the more dynamic nature of Atlas Moth at all a challenge, or like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just learning to lay back, play to the song, be in
Right.
the pocket. With this band in particular, I play to a click live,
Yeah.
and then we also have a lighting show that is synced up to the click.
I've seen you on live, and I wanted to ask you about that, so I'm
Yeah.
glad you clarified.
So
Okay.
it is synced up. So if I fuck up, everybody notices.
Right.
So it's the challenge of being in the pocket and just being on
Right.
every night. It's got to be on every night. Otherwise, it'll
Yeah.
just look like a train wreck up there.
Well, have you been practicing with clicks or metronomes for like some time prior to
Yeah.
this?
I mean, I was very thankful. My percussion teacher growing up forced the click on me, which was awesome. So I got to learn it
Yeah.
very early on. And then my first experience using a click live was when I filled in with a death metal band from Wisconsin called Jungle Rot in Europe.
Okay.
And they played to a click live. So that was my first experience with that. And that was rough because it's playing... Jungle Rot is more so of your traditional, like, kind of death thrash, death metal band. There's not really a whole lot of blast beats, a lot of huge hardcore influence on it. So playing, you know, really fast, like, thrash and skank beats to a click every night and making sure it's on point all the
Right.
time is rough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to be a slave to the click.
What was the maximum amount of beers you could have leading up to that gig?
Generally 1 to none. I mean, and even to this day, I mean, I'm having a beer right now, but it's generally like I don't like drinking beforehand because it's just
shouldn't.
like I get a little bit too loose.
Yeah. I had a couple last night. I actually played one of gigs last night, and this can segue into the next question. But I had the classic. I have a couple of kits here in New York, and I got like one and then some down in New Orleans still.
Nice.
But the kit that I played last night is this old Vistalite kit that I have. That's like an early
Nice.
70s one.
Dude.
But it's got those weird little spurs on it. And I had a rug that had flanges on it that were perfectly fitted for the spurs. So,
All right.
so it wouldn't...
Were they the ones that kind of come out from
It's
the
those
inside
shitty,
of the bass
skinny
drum?
ones, yes.
Yeah.
They're tough, but I lost that rug, so last night was one of those gigs where my bass drum was sliding away from me.
Oh no.
And my lower back is still fucked up from it, because from just kind of hunching over and being kind of awkwardly placed and intermittently having to pull my bass drum back.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that sucks.
That is terrible.
It fucking sucks.
I've had so many occasions on the road over the past couple of years where with that exact instance, especially if you're like going into a festival setting where you're using the
Right.
festival's backline and you're hooking your rig up to it, and all of a sudden 2 songs in, it's like, why is my bass drum by like front of house right now? Like
Right.
it just fucking scoots away from you.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing like somebody have a cinder block.
Right. Well, last night I had at least 3 different times where my bass pedal had completely detached from the bass drum.
Oh god, that's a nightmare.
And I was still able, thankfully, from just the angle that the pedals were able enough to go just enough forward to still hit it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't absent. I've had it where the bass drum is just slid
just
away
gone.
completely.
It's
and
gone.
then talking at that point, I'm just like, just train wreck this song. Let's get the fuck out. I got to figure this out. Get
Yeah.
some blocks. Or the bass player, guitars come over, put your ankles or your feet up against the fucking bass drum.
Right. Oh,
you
that's
know?
a pro move right there. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Don't stand in front of me because people want to watch me because I'm
Right.
killing right now.
But go ahead, put your foot right in the bottom
But
right there.
definitely-
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, brace this goddamn bass drum right
Yes.
now. Do you have any equipment meltdowns or just strange gigs that come to mind that you've played throughout your years?
Oh man, I mean, in terms of equipment meltdowns, I think you hit the head on instances like the bass drum running away from you. I have that
Fucking
happen at
sucks.
least once or twice a tour,
Yeah.
but nothing too catastrophic other than that.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of weird gigs, I mean, man, I'm going back to like 2014 here. Broken Hope was on tour with Oceano.
Okay.
And we were playing somewhere in Western Canada. Oceano can't get into Canada, so we lose our co-headliner.
Really?
Yes. One of the bands drops off before we even go into Canada.
Uh-oh.
So, like, it's a slimmed-down package to begin with. We roll up to the venue, and it's not a venue. It's a bingo hall inside of an old people's home.
Whoa.
So we literally set up and play on this bingo hall stage, you know, like with the rectangular tables still out and about. You know, there's people being wheeled around everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's the most bizarre place for a venue I have ever seen. I'm pretty sure there was a dB limit there. We had to be out really early so we didn't keep anybody up, as if they could hear it anyway.
Yeah. Right,
But,
exactly.
I mean, definitely, the bingo hall in Western Canada is definitely one of those that sticks out in my mind.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I hear you. I played one. I think I talked about it previously on one of these episodes, but I played a gig at South by Southwest, and it was at a campground, like a late night show, quote unquote.
All right.
And there was nobody out at quote unquote campground other than like some weirdo fuckers, definitely on hallucinogenic drugs.
Okay, naturally.
And we were set up on this stage that was basically almost made out of like picnic tables, like pieced together. And there was like a tree, and I remember seeing these drugged out weirdos like up in the trees while we were playing.
Jesus.
That was a super weird gig.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean
Playing
that
in
one
the middle of Electric Forest or something like that.
And on top of that, the whole area smelled like bacon because these crazy motherfuckers were like, it was their intro to coming and hanging out with them just out in the woods at the campground. They're like, we brought like 30 pounds of bacon. So they were just like frying bacon in a giant who knows what.
Right.
And drinking and getting fucking super weird out in the woods. So it was like the smell of bacon. There were weirdos in the trees. It was a campground. Like that was a fucking weird one, man.
All right. Sounds like a McHenry Friday night.
Seriously. So you mentioned growing up sort of outside of Chicago. Like, did you grow up? Was it kind of rural where you grew up?
Yeah, definitely. It was a little town called McHenry, Illinois, which is known for two things. One is tailor-made golf clubs.
Oh, there
and
you go.
the other one is Alkaline Trio.
Oh, what's the last?
Alkaline Trio.
Oh, okay. Really? That band is from there?
Yep.
Weird.
I went to McHenry West. Matt Skiba went to McHenry East.
Okay.
So that's really all we had going for us, man. I mean, we had a small roller rink where we'd book our own punk and metal shows and have all of our friends play, and
that's awesome.
That's pretty much how we entertained ourselves when we were kids.
Really? How old were you when you first started playing drums?
Oh man, whatever you are in 5th grade.
Okay.
So what is that, like 9, 10 years old?
I was going to say 9, 10 years old.
Yeah, exactly. But it was 5th grade band, pick an instrument, make a noise.
Yeah.
I had been getting in trouble all the time in school for fidgeting and hitting my pen on the desk without realizing it.
Well, trust me, that's a reoccurring issue that every drummer I talk to has.
It's a thing. To this day, I get yelled at. I'm sitting at the dinner table. I'm sitting wherever. Someplace I shouldn't be making noise. I'm just sitting there tapping away.
Do you feel that sort of nervous energy lends itself to heavier styles of music?
Oh, completely and utterly.
Right?
It's restlessness. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not being satisfied with your surroundings and needing to create something to cope with that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's the cathartic nature of nervous energy.
Oh, dude, completely. Especially from a drummer's perspective, because it's like,
sure.
I don't know what to do with this. Let me just hit some shit.
Right.
Cool. Oh, I can go around and see the world hitting shit. Okay, cool.
Right.
Let's do this now.
Yeah, I call it explosions in time. So why would you not be into that?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Man, that's dope. I like that.
Yeah, I mean that's what. I think I've also thought about this. I think being born on the 4th of July, I love the explosion and fireworks and all that shit.
There you go.
So then for me to then be able to hit shit and have that physical outlet, you know?
The pure bombastic nature of all of it.
Absolutely was the second I found that, I was like, all right, I'm definitely hooked on this.
Oh, exactly.
You know?
Man, play a fireworks show and a Keith Moon drum solo next to each other and try to figure out which is which.
Oh my God, which is more erratic? Definitely
Yes, exactly.
Keith Moon. Definitely Keith Moon. Are you a fan of the Who?
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
Man, I'm so glad you say that because I talked to Dale from the Melvins and we were both talking about sort of just how interesting. And how the first time I heard Keith Moon and the Who, I was a late comer to the Who for sure. I was never the biggest fan of them just collectively, and then I heard some of the earlier stuff, the real raw stuff where Keith wasn't even playing a hi hat.
Oh, exactly.
He was just playing like rides.
Just rode his ride or crashed it the entire time.
But playing killer shit and constantly filling and
all the empty space. There was no empty space.
No empty space. But like I read, there's this book about him. I think it's called Half Moon or something like that. If you haven't read it, fucking read it. It's amazing. It's about all the dumb shit that he did.
Oh,
man.
that's fantastic.
Yeah, like one of
There's a lot to cover then.
Oh,
it's got to be a thick book.
One of my favorites, and I'll just go for this story in particular, is according to the book, there was one night where the Who, they were waiting for him to show up, like Axl Rose style, like where the fuck is, but instead it's Keith.
Right.
And they bust through the door and they find him totally fucked up in the hotel room. They throw him in a wheelchair, bring him to the gig, and it was his assistant. He had an assistant whose job it was to not let him get so fucked up that he would get arrested or kill himself, basically.
Jesus, I believe that.
So, according to the story, at one point, they prop him up on the drum stool, and the assistant and one other guy, they had two adrenaline shots. And they're like, we have to give these to him, but we have to do it simultaneously, and we're going to inject it into his calves.
Holy
because
shit.
if we do it on opposite sides, it can induce paralysis, or
Right.
it can give him a stroke or something super fucked up. So they prop him up. They fucking hit him with it, and he's like, go, fucking like a rocket. And then he's blazing, but he managed to get through half the set, and then apparently did a fill and just did a nosedive.
Oh, is that the show where he passed out?
Into his floor toms.
Okay, all right. So that's that same night. I've
I
heard about him passing out on
stage. I could be conflating stories, but
Yeah.
I think that is what happened.
Oh, yeah.
So how insane is that story?
That's insane.
How do you not listen to that guy's drumming, knowing that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
right?
It's pure rock and roll.
It's the most rock and roll. And he did drive cars into pools.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God, dude. I don't know, do you know the Who song Leaving Here?
Yes.
So that is my favorite Keith Moon drum performance.
All right.
Something
Fair
about
enough.
I like the groove of it, and dude, he plays incredible fills. You can hear how fast he is. And,
Oh, yeah.
And the erratic nature of his character as it permeated his playing.
Oh, exactly. I mean, his drumming was a true expression of self, for certain.
Which is what's so great about it.
Yeah.
Right? Because I feel like in jazz circles that is more a common thing, where it's like, yeah, it's this and that and the other, but in rock and especially kind of in the metal war where everything gets like quantized and sound replaced,
gotta be perfect,
you pull so much of the personality of the player out of it.
Oh, yeah,
that
absolutely.
in reverting back to those Keith Moon times, when you hear that and you can discern the character of the individual playing those parts.
Oh, yeah.
It's fascinating.
It's completely and utterly. I
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah. Same with like Mitch Mitchell and Jimi Hendrix. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that guy played fills every measure.
And amazing.
Constantly filling.
Yeah.
But super jazzy,
Super jazzy, super bluesy. Him and Ginger Baker, too.
Ginger Baker's a weird one for me. I'm not totally on board with Ginger Baker.
All right.
I
can see he got pigeonholed as a guy that created like rock drumming, and it's hilarious because he's a jazz drummer and
Right.
he despised rock and roll.
And it makes sense because to me, when I hear guys like Bonham and Mitch Mitchell and like Cozy Powell and all those guys,
classics.
Those guys epitomize it more to me because they did have a pocket. I think Ginger's was very unorthodox, which as was Keith Moon.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for me, the energy that Keith Moon brought to it was especially like hypercharged.
Oh, yeah,
and
It's electric.
I love that he could inject that into something.
Oh,
you
God,
know?
yeah. You can't help but be charged when you see that shit.
For sure. And I mean, I do don't get me wrong, I love some Cream and some Blind Faith and some stuff that Ginger played on. But admittedly, like, to me, it's and as you said, all of those guys kind of reference him,
Totally.
But also, Ginger talked shit about John Bonham, and John Bonham always said that he was one of his favorites. And he said something like, that guy couldn't swing to save his life, or something like that.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
Ginger being the jazz snob that he was.
Right. But meanwhile, I'm like, well, you play it in a rock context, and John Bonham was one of the greatest to ever do it. So I don't know what to tell you, my man.
I'm sorry, you're just going to have to live with that one.
You're going to have to live with that one, my man. You know what we did not touch on, to revert back to 1 second, playing in Powermad. How long have you been doing it, and what was the process of learning some of that stuff?
Oh, man. So Powermad, it's been about 2 years now.
Okay.
A mutual friend, Dave Whitty from Municipal Waste.
Oh, right on.
Hooked me up with...
By the way, I want to talk to him.
Yeah.
Give that dude a holler and tell him next time he comes to New York, we got to do a Crash Bang Boom podcast interview.
Dave's one of my favorite people.
Right on.
Just talk about beer. He'll talk for hours.
All right. We won't talk about drums at all. We'll only talk about beer.
Or drums and beer. He'll go for both.
All
oh
right.
My God.
Good.
Passionate human. So Todd, who's the guitarist in Powermad, moved to Chicago a couple years ago.
Okay.
And he was looking to get the band back together primarily I think to do Dark Lord Day, which we did 2 years ago. That was my first gig with them. So being friends with Dave, who was really good friends with Todd from the beer scene, it was like, yo, check out this local cat in Chicago. He may be able to help you out if you're looking for a drummer that's close. So I wound up going to Todd's house and jamming with him. The guy that had been jamming for them, Dirk Verburen, had recently
you
joined
pronounced
Megadeth.
it so well. I thought it was like Dirker Bonviker Schnarzen. It was some super unpronounceable German name. You just pronounced it with absolute fluidity. That was impressive.
Thank you.
I know he's playing with Megadeth. I've seen him now, I think, at least twice now playing with Megadeth.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
So he had done that Powermad's most recent record that came out a couple of years ago.
Super, like, thrash power metal.
Yeah, exactly. So he's on the road with Megadeth, can't do it anymore. They want to start gigging again, so I tried out, and it was like, he gave me a couple lists of songs. So I learned Slaughterhouse, learned Absolute Power, learned Nice Dreams. Just jamming to an iPod like I used to do when I was a kid, just playing it over and over again, trying to find the nuance, trying to find the parts. And we jammed and it clicked. Because I've always been, a lot of people call me a dad or something like that, but I'm definitely an old soul.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to music that was way older than I was, and something I probably shouldn't have been listening to. So I definitely have the frame of reference for the style, the time period, the genre, and it just kind of clicked.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even going back to that first Powermad record, there was definitely some speed metal. I mean, it was... the times that it was, and that was the thing.
Oh yeah,
and
it's fast too. That was the hardest part. I will say with Powermad, the speed.
Right.
I'm always getting yelled at for not playing fast enough.
Wow,
I was
that's
like, really?
crazy.
That wasn't fast enough?
Really?
Okay, let's go again. Like, damn.
God damn, they want it fast. They want it
sitting there
pumping.
sweating pounds.
They want that energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's got to be. It's thrash, man.
Right.
You gotta have
Exactly.
that energy.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that stuff, you're not playing to a click to that live though?
No,
right?
no.
Okay. Right on.
Mercifully, Moth is the only one right now.
Right
and
on.
the only reason I say mercifully is that you just get putting a rig together to have a click playing to live and all that. It's
Right.
just I'm so bad with electronics.
Yeah.
Even with Broken Hope, where I use triggers, it's just like I hate having triggers to put on the bass drum and then wire it up and then have a trigger unit and hopefully the sample is right and then adjusting the tension or whatever. And
Right.
it's just like, man, can I just play my drums?
Well, I mean, that brings up an honest question, and I think because I personally don't like the sound of triggers, I realize that at a certain BPM, everything gets so fast that you kind of need that compression to.
It's definitely a necessity.
But so you feel like with Broken Hope, it's kind of a necessity for you to be able to
Absolutely.
pull off how quickly those or the rapidity
Something like that.
of those notes are.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a matter of not only that, it's for clarity going through the PA.
Right.
It's for, my guys in front of me who are having that pumped out through the monitors so they know
Right.
where they are and they can know
Right.
where the beat is. So it's definitely more a utility than anything else.
Yeah.
Just to make sure everybody can hear everything.
Fucking A, man. Well, with this Atlas Moth tour that you're on right now, y'all have probably another month or so to go?
Yeah, pretty much. We started September 20th and we will go till October 21st.
Right on.
Yeah. So this is the longest we've been out in a minute.
Do you have any particular rituals that you do leading up to gigs, like don't eat this, don't drink that, try not to get too fucked up the previous night?
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like
I mean, I didn't. Man, going back to when my first tour was before I was even 21. So it's hilarious to
Wow.
say now that I don't drink a lot on the road, but I don't drink a lot on the road anymore.
Really?
Well, 'cause just being hungover in a van sucks.
It sucks.
And if you're doing that repeatedly every night, you're just gonna be in a terrible mood. So it's really like staying away from a lot of booze, not eating a lot of like fatty things like pizza. I've got this weird thing going on where as I've gotten older, all of a sudden tomato sauce starts fucking with me. So if I eat a slice of pizza and then
it's
do some
acidic.
heavy activity,
Oh,
that's coming up. That's coming
full
up in my
acid.
throat. Exactly.
You can't do it.
So can't do that anymore.
No.
Nothing spicy for the same reason. 'Cause
Right.
A lot of like sriracha or something, tomato
Right.
based. So staying away from tomatoes, staying away from a lot of booze.
Yeah.
And just stretching and drinking a shit ton of water.
that's strong call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any particular like warm-up duration leading up to a gig, or do you?
I mean, at least 45 minutes to an hour before the set.
Wow,
Pick up
really?
a pair of sticks, do some wrist stretches, do some arm stretches.
Right.
Go through some rudiments,
Yeah.
do some doubles, do some paradiddles, just run through some stuff and kind of get warmed up. That's really it. It varies from day to day, but at least something so you can twist your wrists around and be like, okay, yeah I'm ready to do this now.
Yeah. I more often than not tend to just nervously pace the venue and kind of beat on my leg as I'm walking around.
you're just doing it,
that's been
sitting
my
around doing it.
that's been my new thing. Other than like if I find a chair, I just kind of and it's funny. All my drummer friends bust my balls about it. They're like, "Dude, will you chill the fuck out already?" And I'm like, What do you want me? I'm like, I don't have.
No, I need something to
I don't
do.
have
I
a
need something to do right now.
backstage to just sit there. And if I did, I'd probably be freaking out about that. So
Exactly.
it's just my nervous energy. I kind of need to be like walking and intermittently beating on things.
Oh, exactly.
To be able to. And every now and again, though, and it happened last night as well. I got the old concrete hand.
Yo, that's been happening a lot to me recently.
So what is that? Is that nervous energy? What do you attribute that to?
It's either nervous energy or it's the fact that I didn't take care of myself when I was younger, and I definitely have carpal tunnel forming.
Do you really?
I mean, I don't think so. I've been to sports doctors over the years, and they were
Right.
all like, "You're too young for it, yada this, yada that," and I was like, "I don't know, man. I don't think you know what I do.
Yeah.
I
It
don't
could
think
be.
you know what blast beating for an hour a night is."
That is rough for
Yeah.
sure.
You want to talk about repetitive motion. But it's more so akin to like tennis elbow, you know, where if you lay on it the wrong way or if you pinch a nerve, all of a sudden, like your two middle fingers going down your hand go numb and you lose grip of the stick and all that.
Jesus.
So that's why, dude, I mean, that's why stretching is crucial.
Crucial.
It's for gnarly shit like that. And it helps keep it at bay for sure.
So those of you listening to this that are thinking about pursuing extreme music, do consider hydrating yourself, stretching, and warming up for extended amounts of time.
You know,
Pretty good gig.
I approve this message.
I don't play that shit, but just
No.
listening to you, it all makes sense. So I could see that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, don't do my method. Just nervously walk around and beat on random shit.
Oh, which I still do, too.
Yeah.
That's what I do the other 23 hours of the day.
Exactly.
Man, I remember reading an interview with Igor Cavalera about, I don't know if it was recording Beneath the Remains or Arise, but apparently back in the day, he did not warm up at all.
Wow.
And now he's a firm believer in it, but his literal words were something along the lines of, I can't believe I haven't fucked myself up because I probably should have by not warming up all those years.
100%.
And I was like, especially the way he plays through his kit. Holy cow.
Absolutely. Yeah, super powerhouse style.
Oh, God, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
He's not tapping. He's playing through his drums.
Yeah. Wow, man. Jesus. Okay. Well, if anyone's listening to this, you will be on the road with Atlas Moth for another month or so.
Yes.
So check out the dates.
Absolutely. Find our Facebook page, all that good stuff.
All that good shit. And, check out your mini projects, man.
Yes.
Right on. Well, it's good talking to you, brother.
Yeah, likewise, brother. Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Mike for sitting down and rapping with me. Thanks, as always, to St. Vitus Bar for hosting killer bands and allowing me to do what I do. It is much appreciated. Be on the lookout for Mike's mini bands coming through a town near you. He's a young man, but he's a road dog. He's getting down to it, y'all. All right, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one. Crash, bang, boom.